Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Good morning, Mechwarriors and Fellow Gamers. Welcome back to Commander Hollow's Mech Bay. I'm Commander Hollow. Today we're going to continue working on the Black Lanner, applying the Jade Falcons Turkina Keshik paint scheme. Let's see, last time we applied the primary coat, which consisted of a base coat of grass green and then the desert turquoise on top of that. And then I highlighted with the lime green and some of these different highlight points. And let's see, that's where we left it off. I will say a confession time. I did do another little touch-up coat on the lime green. So if you feel that you missed out on the touch-up, just go back and watch the first one twice, and you'll be all set. It's pretty much the same thing. And I did also go back and I made some changes to, let's see, right, let me get something to point with. It's a brush that's not wet. The heat shield on the right arm here, if I can make the camera focus, the heat shield on the right arm, I did end up going back and painting that in the base coat. You know, I was thinking I'm going to end up, the tip of the gun will still end up covering with the metallic paint. No, but I was thinking about different firearms, and yeah, I was just thinking that, you know, when a weapon does have a heat shield, oftentimes the heat shield will be the same color as the rest of the weapon. And even if the barrel sticking out is going to be metallic, the heat shield, you know, well, it would have been painted as well. So just the tip will be painted the metallic gray, and that should be consistent with the other weapon. So today we're going to be working with the Deco Art metallic zinc to cover the exposed wear points, exposed metal, and highlight some weaponry. And if we have enough time, I think we might, we may get into some pin washing with the black, but we'll see how time permits. And we may do a little prep work on the cockpit as well to get it ready for the actual color application. But let's start off with the zinc. So let's give this a good shake. And this stuff always needs a good shake. Oh dang, getting low on coffee. Oh well. Let's see here. Okay. Someone was asking me about these tiles. They're these guys are just little test runs on different types of medium for basing materials. And got some of the crackle effect material. I was thinking about doing a video on it, but man, I'm just not, I don't know if I'm applying it wrong or it's just not working right. I don't know. If I ever figure it out, I'll let you guys know. Alright, now again, we're going to thin this out a little bit with our mixing brush and just a little dab of water. I don't know, I think the metallics, I think they go on more evenly. And just get a better shine when they've got a little bit of dilution in them. All right, now we're going to use the, let's see if we can zoom in on this. This is it's kind of a more rounded brush, but I have found that when it's wet and you dry it off in one direction, it makes a really nice knife edge. And so I like using this brush when doing the metallic paint. I don't think I used it last time. I don't know. I don't remember. That was like days ago. Who can remember that stuff that long ago? Okay. So I think we'll start with the feet and work our way up. So we'll start just a little bit. One thing I really like about this brush over the smaller fine tip brush that I usually use in a lot of projects. Being larger, you can load more paint onto it. So I don't feel like I have to go back and load up again as often. But it doesn't hold a point as well. It holds the knife edge, it's flat and wide. So there's still some detail work where it's better to use the other brush. And as always, take your time. You don't need to rush this. Just give a little nail polish here. There we go. Yeah, so I was getting set up to do this, and it's like 4:30 in the morning here right now, and as usual, just had a little trouble sleeping. So getting set up, clearing off the table in the kitchen. That's where I do a lot of my painting. And my wife left out her nail polish. And I'm looking at it. This is acrylic. I don't know. I don't wear nail polish, so what do I know about it? I'm thinking, I was like, wow, we both like to paint with acrylics. Then I'm thinking, you see some of those, people online. They have videos about the different nails they get done. Thinking, man, I bet you there's some nail artists out there who could absolutely run circles around some of us model painters, or miniature painters. Here we go, just get this gun barrel. And, okay, and see, we're going sideways now with the brush. I want it traveling perpendicular. I think we did this last time. Trying to just get the edge of the barrel. We don't want to get inside of it. So we turn the bristles so they don't have the chance to get inside of it. Yeah, that looks nice. And I'm just doing the bigger parts with this brush. We'll pull out the smaller brush when we need to and go back and get some of those other parts. That's getting a little too much into the cracks, but we're gonna do a wash, so it'll be okay. Drop some black in those missile ports. Deepen them out again. All right. Now, okay, so what else should we get here with this? You know, I'm a little tempted to break out the other brush. But I think we could do a bit more work with this big guy. All right, that's kind of a tough spot. The dark metal doesn't really pop in the shadow like that. I guess it's, you know, part of the fun of the effect. And again, we just want it on the edges. We don't want it to get down into the cracks. So, bugger. There we go. Swipe it right off. Go upside down with them. Just really gently. Yeah, you know, I think the way that vent is looking, we're going to get a little more aggressive with the metal. We're going to have this whole cooling spot here. And this whole, maybe it's cowling, maybe? It might be the right word for it. I'm not certain. The part that goes around the vent. You know, in hindsight, that actually would have been a fun thing to highlight with the lime green. But I think this will be a nice variety. And I think these other ones too. They got a nice line going around them. Not sure I can do it justice with this brush. It is an odd spot for a heat vent, I gotta say. I'm gonna have to vent all this extra heat from my hip joint. There aren't even any weapons there. All right, just barely on the edge. All right. I think we're going to do that with this up here. But now it's time to switch brushes. I always remember to rinse off the metallic really well, because that stuff will cling to brushes. All right, so now we're going to use the finer point. And for this, we're going to do the outline on this as well. There we go. That looks nice. And there we go. A little more paint. Just a little bit. You really don't want to load up your brush too much for something like this, because it is with the smaller cracks, it's very easy to get the paint in where you don't want it to be. But again, we'll be doing a wash later. That's nice. I like that. Okay. Let's go back and touch up some limbs. Get those wear points. And bring a little shine. Give the light something to bounce off of so it'll catch the eye. And help create the illusion that this is not a monolithic piece of plastic, but is instead a 55-ton war machine. Because in my opinion, that's a big part of, what we do as artists. We're creating an illusion. I know. Okay. So, rear vents. I'm not really sure what's going on with the rest of this rear portion, but I think that's all I want to put into that. This, we should do the back here. Now, something I like to keep in mind when I'm applying, deciding what's an exposed structural part, for painting with the metallic gray, is the lighter the mech, the more I tend to put emphasis on exposed parts. The thought on that is, a 20-ton locust has far less armor than a 100-ton Atlas. Even though they both have, certain parts like internal structure, fusion engine, things like that. The fact of the matter is there's just a lot more armor on larger units, and the rationale being that more armor, more things covered up. So, you know, medium mechs, like the Black Lanner here, or the Green Lanner, you know, they're somewhere in between the two. You know, they're going to have some exposed parts as well, but they're still carrying a decent amount of armor on them. So, you got to strike that balance. Okay, flip around. These are really small, very tight working area. And that's why I wanted to get out the fine tip brush. All right, I think we got that. And I don't know. These legs, there's a lot going on with these legs, but all right, this arm looks pretty well armored, a well armored arm. So there's really not much to get into with the cracks. But we want to put something in there. Want to put something in there. Now with this one, just a little bit in there. Well, I see a teeny tiny dot right there. There we go. Man, that is small. I think we want to put a little bit more. Yeah, I don't even think any light's going to be hitting that on the regular, but it's a nice little touch, I think. All right. Gun barrel's another touch up. Now okay. I think we're going to leave this end part of the barrel. We're going to leave that green. There's just not much else on the rear that I think should be just rendered in the metallic paint. So I think we might be good with this so far. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out already. Oh, we got like 3 brushes in the water can. That's awesome. Okay, so I think we can say that the metallic is done. So let's go on to prepping the cockpit and maybe doing a little pin washing. So yeah, okay. Now for the cockpit, what I've been doing is I put some black on there to kind of even out the cockpit, even out the distribution of the paint that's been applied as part of the previous several steps. All right. It's looking pretty good. Paint's looking pretty thin. So now we're going to go very gently, very slowly. Oh, there we go. Let's zoom it in. You guys don't want to see my hairy arms. You want to see the miniature getting painted. If you want to see my hairy arms, you can go to my OnlyFans. I'm kidding. Or am I? Alrighty. So I started doing this. I apply some black very carefully in the cockpit area, and then we apply white in the highlight areas where we want more color to stand out. I also find that it helps when doing the blacklight reactive neon colors. If you have if you put them right on a black base, it'll take several coats to get the kind of result you want, and even then it'll seem a bit muted. But if you paint them onto white, the end result will be very much brighter, and you get better reaction with the black light. So with that in mind, what we do is we're going to vary the amount of white and black that is underneath so that we can intentionally affect the different intensity of the blacklight reactive paint. Create outlines and highlights to emphasize where we suppose the light is reflecting off of it, and where we suppose the light would be kind of shining from it in the dark. The the Black Lanner has a curved cockpit, so that's going to give us some interesting choices about how we want to apply the blacklight paint. You know, as opposed to the Baboon, which has this sort of there's like a much more sharp edge on the side. It's almost rectangular in shape. Not perfectly. It does have a bend to it. But with that edge on either side, you know, it makes it pretty clear where the light would be focusing. How I want to highlight it. Not so with the Black Lanner. Now we're going to let that dry a bit before we apply any white paint to it. And while we're waiting for it to dry, we can do a little pin washing. Just a little bit, because I don't think this unit needs a ton of work. Just want to create some separation between the major joints, the major edges. Ooh, that was a sloppy one. That's okay. Having some brush issues. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, sometimes you'll have that. Brush just isn't performing the way you want it to. I just give it a good rinse. Dry it off really good to bring the point back out on it. Might be a tough angle for the camera. Again, though, I think this new camera position is working out. Definitely haven't. So I don't feel like I'm drifting off camera as much as I was in the first series. So that's nice. Okay. Very gently drop in some shadows. Excellent. Yeah. nice. A little too much black on that, but we're, yeah, it's okay. We cleaned it up. I'm getting ahead of myself. I like to approach this, you know, orderly fashion. Start at the feet, work my way up. Sometimes I say, ooh, that part really needs it. I get off track. And I start painting on something that catches my eye. But then it's hard to keep track of like what still needs to be done. And what's already finished. At first, I thought maybe I'd gone a little heavy on the left leg for this armor panel that's on the left leg, but no, I think it's does a nice job of highlighting it. No, that was a bad placement. That's okay. Ooh, got a little heavy on the black there. It's because I'm low on coffee. That's clearly the problem. If I only had more coffee. Man, I'm like way off camera there. There we go. Spoke too soon. Actually, I can only imagine trying to do this while hopped up on caffeine. I think that would be... I'm sure there's other people who can do just fine on caffeine. Probably some that do even better while they drink it, but man, not me. I'd be like, I'd be bouncing all over the place. Too much caffeine just rocks me out. Okay. Okay. Now working our way up. Yeah, looking good. That did a pretty nice job of staying away from some of the lines on this thing. coming together. Alright, let's do... I actually really enjoy doing the weapons, like adding the black to the weapons and starting to see them come to life. So we're going to do those last. It's more of a treat. That delayed gratification. Yeah, you know, I'm really happy with that little dot of silver. Dot of zinc, I guess. As it were. I think it's a nice accent. Man, I am heavy-handed today. Looks like we might be getting out the some touch-up paint. There you go. See, just enough water on it. Comes right out. As long as it's fresh. That's one of the nice things about letting your paint, you know, really dry, really set in between doing your detail work, and well, I should say in between doing your your detail work and your base coats. Because some mornings you're just not on your A game for the paint, but you do it anyways. And we want to get some of this black into these cracks here. So just going to smush it on down. And then wipe off the excess. Nice thing about this approach is this brush tends to have a little more water in it, so it will wipe off the top part and thin down what's left and cause it to fall into the cracks. Okay. What do we think here? I think... Oof, no, I think that's a pretty nice seam already between that edge part. Here we go. All right. Yeah, that'll work. And let's see, what else? Yeah, I think we're gonna hit this little tiny line. If only because it will create a nice emphasis point for when we ultimately add color to the cockpit. Very good. All right. Because we want to really emphasize that difference. And let's see. Go ahead and okay, I think we'll try a little more of the watering down trick. Just make the paint a little more fluid. Or in this case, just picks it up entirely. No, I think we got some in there in those cracks. I think we need to do a little more though. All right, let me dry it off. All right. You know, I do think we need to do something with the rear of this guy. All right. Now these are all lasers on the arms. So they will end up having some color added to them. This rear panel, though, we're going to do something with that. I don't know. I mean, I actually think that looks pretty good as it is. I'm going to help out this mold a little bit. Yeah, these rear sections doesn't really have the definition of the rest of the unit. I wonder what happened. We're going to see if we can bring it out a little bit. Whoa, got a little aggressive there. All right, that's okay. Cleans right up. Yeah, you know, these three little spots here, that would have been a good spot for that lime green accent, but we want to go conservatively on it. I only point it out because, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can paint your minis. You know, you have a fair amount of freedom in how you want to approach it. Alright, now I do think the guns are going to need a little more pizzazz, a little something. After all, it's the weaponry that makes the mechs most dangerous. You know, melee attacks aside. You know, it's the ability to project force over a distance. The large armament. That's a big part of what makes, well, any unit formidable. So you want the guns to be noticeable. But not just noticeable. You want them to really grab people's attention. And there's some just nice design elements to the Black Lanner. Yeah, these little front sections here. Oh, I'm doing it again, drifting up. These little front sections here. Those would have been good candidates for the lime green. Is there any more I want to do on that? No, I think we're good on that. I think we are going to put a little over this shoulder, though. Just for a little more emphasis. Okay. And I think we'll finish up this right arm, and then that might be it. And we'll throw a little on this. You know, again, the good shadowing, it'll help create the illusion of layering. You know, that this gun mount is kind of nested inside the arm, which is consistent with clan technology, having the, you know, the omnimech. Yeah, I wonder sometimes about, you know, the concept of lost tech, that, oh, you know, we managed to spread humankind across hundreds of planets. I mean, in the Battletech universe, across hundreds of planets. And, you know, we've had jump ships that can literally fold space. But the succession wars were so bad that, you know, Star League technology was lost. Which just blows my mind. Because, I mean, there's redundancies, there's computer backups, you know, even paper copies of certain designs. Like, how much destruction must have happened for technology to have been lost? It's just a little difficult to conceive. So, all right, I think we've got, you know, I feel like the right arm needs a bit more here on the top, because there's stuff going on and it's a little something to create a little more definition here. Yeah, that's looking better. Okay. Now the cockpit should be good and dry. Well, and then the camera gets whacked. Okay. So now we are going to do a little bit of dry brushing of the white onto the cockpit. And this is tough because it's a really, really small area, and it's hard to dry brush only a small area. So, you know, it's possible this won't even be a true, you know, dry brushing, air quotes. Dry brushing. You know, but I'm referring to it just so you get an idea of the effect we're going to be trying to recreate. So for this, we're going to use the Folk Art Titanium White. And let's see, just a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, so I think what we'll do on this, we're going to do a very gentle outline on the bottom edges all around. No, you know, I think instead we're just gonna do the dry brushing effect. We'll take it from there. We'll zoom in for this. Watch as hopefully I can pull this off. So what we're doing is trying to approximate light hitting the top curve of the canopy. I mean, just doing that alone is enough to, you can really see the difference. And we're going to do just a little bit of a line. And we're going to dry brush it in a bit more. And, you know, I think for these side windows, just a little touch on the top, if I can get a nice point going. Yeah, working in these small spaces where you want to get just a small amount of paint in a teeny tiny small space. Just want to be gentle. Gentle and patient. But you'll see we're doing this a little different than the baboon, because we're trying to give the illusion of it reflecting off the top, you know, the highest point of the glass. There we go. Okay. And then we're just going to brush that in a little more. I don't know if you can see the little bit of powder coming off of this. Yeah, that'll look good. All right. So I think we'll take a break here, and we will pick this up next time by doing some detail work on the cockpit and the weapons, and we'll do a little more on the the missile launchers as well. Try to get that. Bring some more shine to the right spot. You know? But thanks for tuning in. Good luck with your painting. And we'll catch you next time.